Hey folks, it's Frithgar here, how you doing? No, you're not experiencing deja vu. Well, actually you are experiencing deja vu. No, I haven't accidentally uploaded yesterday's episode. If you remember, we came back here and we left it at exactly the point that we started because we can now buy more sheep. $200,000 to load up this trailer. So we can get 2 trailerfuls, which is what we're going to do. Then we've also got the loan available, although I'm a little bit cautious about spending all the money for the loan, because once we do that, we've got nothing to fall back on. We've got no reserve whatsoever. We can't go and do contracting jobs because contract is not available on this map, because we own all the fields. So yeah, we're going to sort of be in a bit of a bind if we do something like that. So yeah, I know I was talking about it, but I'm now thinking it's probably not the wisest move to go and spend all that money. But we'll come up through here. We've got 2 trailer loads of sheep that we want to buy, and we stop right there. Oops, wrong way. So that we've got at least our initial 200 sheep that we want to get. Before I go any further, my question for this week is, which truck would you like me to get? Would you like me to get the MAN TGS 18480, the standard in Game 1? Would you like me to get the mod MAN TGS 184? It's got a few extra options and stuff on it. The modded Lizard SX 310 Twinstar. It's got an extra axle on the back. I think it's a bit more powerful as well. And I'm fairly sure that's actually a typo. I think it's supposed to be Tristar, not Twinstar. And then finally we've got the Tatra Phoenix 6x6, which is very similar to the one that we're using in Goldcrest, which is this one over here. However, this is not an agricultural version, this is just a standard on-the-road version. So it's your vote, it's your game. Head into the comment section down below, let us know which of those 4 you would like, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right-hand corner. Now, I've got to weave in and out of all of these sheep here. It's not the... See, if I was in real life, I would just do that. Clear them out the way. Out of the way, sheep. Out of the way. Move, 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 move. There we go. And they would just scatter off out to the side. They'd be fine. I know those of you who've never kept sheep before, I've done quite a lot with keeping sheep, especially my early farming years. I worked for a moorland shepherd, and yeah, he had a lot of sheep. Little tiny sheep called Beulahs, and they're kind of like rabbits with wool, really. Lovely sheep, they're really nice, they're quite hardy as well, very robust sort of sheep, and their survivability rates are very high. They can survive a lot of harsher conditions that some other breeds of sheep just can't put up with. Where he was farming, it just get quite cold in the winter, so for when you were lambing and stuff, the sheep needed to be fairly hardy, a hardy breed, so that the lambs could survive the winter as well, and survive the lambing and that. He didn't lamb very early in the winter. Some people start lambing at around Christmas, and it can, you know, so the lambs have got to endure quite a lot of cold. And several of them will lamb indoors. These sheep, he never needed to lamb indoors. He would only bring in sheep that were having trouble, if there was any issues with the sheep. And when you've got close to 1,000 sheep altogether, you will have problems. You have all sorts of problems. You have sheep die all the time, you have lambs die, so sometimes you've got to be able to put some lambs onto the sheep that didn't actually give birth to it, and that can take a little while. You've got to, basically, in order to do that, you've got to trap the sheep so that it can't... oh, actually, that's the last resort bit. The first thing, now this is a little bit graphic, but it is one of the things that you do. If one of the lambs has died and a sheep is then left with no lamb, she's still producing a lot of milk, and she could look after another lamb. If you've got an orphan lamb that's got no mother, maybe for some reason the mother's abandoned it, or a sheep has given birth to triplets, then you'll need to take away one of the lambs. You can't leave 3 lambs on a sheep, not normally, because they can't feed them properly, and then all 3 lambs will grow weak as a result, and it's better to take one of the lambs away and put it on another sheep. So what you do is you take the poor lamb that has died and you actually skin it, and you put the skin of the lamb on the live orphan lamb, and then the mother of the dead lamb will then smell the new lamb and think that it's her baby, and she will then take it. She will accept it. She won't chase it away and try to harm it when the lamb is trying to feed. And this is a trick that all shepherds use. I've done it myself many times, and it's absolutely fantastic to see a sheep accepting a lamb that would otherwise have just perished. A lamb cannot survive without its mother, unless the farmer that's looking after them is going to bottle feed the sheep, and then in which case, you know, it can happen. But you know, if it was out in the wild or anything like that, that lamb would die. If its mother had died, then the lamb would die, and it's so it's not a good situation to be in. And so you can get the sheep to take it, but sometimes it won't take it like that. Sometimes that isn't enough. So what you've then got to do is you've actually got to get the mother. You've got to trap her so that she can lie down and she can sort of move her hindquarters around. But basically, you put her in a yoke. It's just something that holds her neck so that she's held in place, so she can stand up and she can sit down, and she's got plenty of food and water, so she's quite comfortable. It's just she can't move around, and you have to leave her like that for 3 days. I know it sounds a bit harsh, but the sheep is quite comfortable. It's not able to and it's only for 3 days. It's not like it's not something you do for a lifetime. I know there are some animals that are kept in very tight cages for their entire lives. I don't like that. I don't have anything to do with that. I've never had anything to do with that kind of farming, and I never will. I think that animals should be free to move around. This is done out of necessity, because the lamb, sometimes you can do it in 2 days, but 3 days is better. The lamb is then able to reach the sheep and can feed. And the sheep will allow the lamb to feed because she can't smell the lamb, so she can't tell that it's not her lamb. And so the sheep stays there for 3 days while the lamb feeds on it. And after 3 days, you can then hopefully release the lamb, release the sheep, and she will then take the lamb. And the reason she does is because by this time, the lamb, she's gotten used to the sound of the lamb. And I say that you can do it sometimes it'll take in just 24 hours, because that's the time that it takes for the milk from the sheep to pass through the lamb. And then when the sheep can smell her own milk on the tail end of the lamb, she's then likely to take it. However, it's fairly uncommon for it to happen after just 24 hours. It is quite uncommon for the sheep to accept the lamb after 24 hours. So, actually, I'm just wondering if I should go and get another load of sheep now. We could borrow a little bit in order to... You know what? Let's do it. Let's get one more load of sheep. And then we've got 250 sheep here, and then we can get the grass going with the forage wagon. So, yes, and you've got all these different methods of doing it, so that sheep will accept lambs. Ooh, that one's a bit suicidal. They do that. That's one thing with sheep. When you're a sheep farmer, you generally find that a sheep's main aim in life seems to be to die. If you're trying to help a sheep, it will run, and it will just it'll run away, no problem at all. It'll escape anything that you don't want it to. It'll get through any fence, and then it'll get caught up in a few brambles, and you know, a few like a little thorn bush, or it'll, well, yeah, it will just get caught up in a thorn bush, or it'll go on its back. And sometimes a sheep, when it's lying down, will sort of roll onto its back, and then it can't get up, because it always tries to roll itself uphill in order to right itself, and it can't do it. And a sheep will then just sit there on its back or caught in a thorn bush and just stay there until it dies. And this is just something that sheep do. If you go near it to help it, to put it back on its feet again, sometimes you'll get close enough to actually lend it assistance. 9 times out of 10, as soon as you get close, it'll jump up and run away, or it'll drag itself out of the thorns and run away and be just fine. But unfortunately, because of the way that we have bred sheep over the last few thousand years, they are unquestionably very, very stupid animals, and they will do things that you just find difficult to fathom. You cannot understand why they would do these things, but they do. And that is one of the tasks with being a shepherd, is that you've got to try and persuade the sheep not to do all these things, and they just keep doing it. And there's nothing that you can do about this. They just keep going, and so they will do these phenomenally stupid things and end up dying as a result. So, yeah. All right, hang on. First of all, we want to get some more money. So let's take up our loan to 100,000. Actually, I think we need a bit more than that. So let's go 200,000. So we've got 105,000. It leaves us 195,000 left on our loan. Now, if I go for the sheep, I should be able to get a full trailer load. It's 192,000. Confirm. If I was to spend all of our available money, and that is everything, we would be able to get another 50 sheep. Well, another 48 sheep. But I don't think we will for now. That is, I think we've got enough once we've got these, and then we can hopefully start getting a bit of wool. And once we can start selling wool, then we can use that to buy some more sheep. A nice little cycle going. With the 250 sheep that we've got, well, close enough to 250, we should be fine. So, yeah, anyway, back to sheep. I always used to quite like looking after sheep. I quite enjoy doing it. There's certain tasks that I don't like doing. But generally, I find it quite good looking after sheep. It's quite a rewarding experience, especially when you're doing lambing and you've got a field full of lambs running around, and you know that several of those lambs are only there because of you, because you've had to assist with the sheep lambing because it was running into trouble, or you've saved orphan lambs and put them onto sheep that have had no lambs, and so on. And so you've got this field of animals that are alive because of your efforts, because of things you've done. It's a very satisfying feeling. And it can also be extremely hard work looking after sheep. I have, during lambing, I have spent weeks with hardly any sleep. And when I say hardly any sleep, I mean like 2 or 3 hours sleep a night for, say, 3 weeks. And you're absolutely exhausted. You stop for a cup of coffee mid-morning like you do most mornings. And the first thing you do is you put your coffee there, and then you promptly fall asleep. You barely even drink your coffee. You just sleep for a half an hour, and then you've got to wake up and you've got to go and check them all again to make sure that everything is okay. And you'll work late at night. And I have been very, very sleep deprived. Up on the top of the moors, which is, for those of you who don't know what moorland is, I know that it's, you don't get it in all parts of the world, but basically it's hill ground. It's basically hill ground that can get quite cold and chilly in the winter. You get, and it's also very exposed. So yeah, I've been up on top of the hill ground, and I've been working hard. It's been 2 o'clock in the morning. I have been working continuously for nearly 24 hours, and I've got to catch a sheep that is having trouble lambing, and if I don't catch it, that sheep will definitely die. There is no question whatsoever. And on top of that, not only is it 2 o'clock in the morning, but it is absolutely lashing it down with rain. And then the rain gets colder and colder, and it turns into hail, and you've got it stinging the side of your face where it's blowing in because of the really strong wind. So you've got hail stinging the side of your face while you're battling to save a sheep that is doing its very, very best to run away from you, because, you know, obviously sheep don't like to be caught. And yeah, it's when you're in situations like that that you start to question the wisdom of being a farmer altogether. That is really a time when most farmers start to think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? To be quite honest, I could not have answered that question then, and I couldn't answer that question now. And I know most farmers couldn't answer that question for you. There's something about doing a job like that. It's complete and utter madness. Why would anyone want to do something like that? You got no clue. And yet you still do it. You battle on. You battle against the elements. Tired, absolutely. Well, I say tired. Tired was a week ago. Tired was actually 2 weeks ago. You've gone beyond tired. You've gone beyond exhausted to the point where you're hallucinating as you're walking along. That is the kind of level of exhaustion that you can face when you're in the middle of lambing and you're having a difficult year because of really bad weather. Yeah, that's the kind of thing that I have done, and I loved it at the time, and if it wasn't for personal circumstances, I'd probably still be doing that now. So yeah, it's a little insight into the world of sheep farming. I know that sheep farming is done differently all over the world. It's done differently on every single different farm here in the UK. So it's certainly done differently in different places around the world. No two farming experiences are ever the same. That is one thing you can be certain of. You will never have two identical farming experiences. And I hope I haven't sort of put you off with some of the more graphic stuff that I've talked about. And for those of you who do find such things a little bit distressing, I apologise. I've no intention of upsetting everybody, but I felt that, you know, I'd sort of give you a bit of an insight into what we do, or what farmers do. I say we, but I'm not a farmer anymore. I used to be a farmer, but I don't work on farms anymore. I'm now a builder, so it's not really we anymore. It's more you. It used to be we, but yeah. So I don't do this any longer. But yeah, it's one misconception that I often see in social media. Due to running this channel, I spend a huge amount of my time every single day on social media. Not just as my channel name, as Frithgar, also personally, and sort of researching stuff and looking things up, that kind of thing, and finding out what's going on in the world, and, you know, keeping up to date with everything that's going on, that kind of thing. And there does say, you know, social media does seem to have, a lot of people seem to have this kind of misconception that the farmers are the bad guys. And I can understand it. I do understand it because of how some things are portrayed, and how farmers are portrayed in the media very often. And also there are farmers out there that deserve the bad name that most farmers have got. But most farmers do not deserve that bad name. The farmers, they're not in it to torture and mistreat animals. There are people there who mistreat animals, and they do things that I think are absolutely disgusting, and I would never have anything to do with them. But farmers, for the most part, they love their animals. They love their job. They love their way of life, and it is a complete way of life. A job is a 9 to 5. A way of life is something that you get up in the middle of the night to do without any question whatsoever, just because it needs doing at that time. That was something I would consider a way of life. So you've got all of these farmers that will do anything and everything that is needed in order to keep their stock happy and healthy and alive and comfortable. And they will do all sorts in order to make sure their animals are healthy and happy. And then yet you get this tiny percentage of people who are just downright cruel and in it for money, and it gives everybody a bad name. And so you hear of certain agricultural practices that people don't understand when they're not in farming, like skinning the lamb. I've seen a PETA advert that says about skinning lambs, and it was done wrong. It was done very, very badly, and it was complete misinformation designed to vilify the farmer. Is vilify the right word? I'm sure it is. Basically designed to make the farmer out to be the complete bad guy, and saying that no farmer ever cares about their animals. I disagreed with that completely 100%. I still do disagree with that completely 100%. Like I said, there are some farmers that do things badly. There are some farmers that, quite frankly, should never be allowed to keep animals. But they're so few and far between that it feels wrong that so many good farmers, so many good, honest people who dedicate their entire lives to this and to keeping their animals really healthy, and really well looked after, it gives them all a bad name, and I don't think that's right. That just doesn't feel right to me at all. I think that it needs to be addressed. So that is one of the things that I like to do here on this channel, is to try to allay certain concerns that people have, and get rid of different misconceptions that people have. So yeah, the whole PETA advert, basically suggesting that skinning lambs was something that was done on a regular basis and whilst the poor creature was alive. That's just disgusting. Who would do that? No one would do that. I can't think of anyone that would want to do something like that. That's just horrible. No, we don't do that. And no farmer would do that. Not even the nasty ones would do that. And like I said, they're so few and far between that it's a difficult subject. It's a very difficult subject. And you've got the whole issue with the skinning of the lambs. It's only done to... the lamb that is skinned has unfortunately died. There is nothing that could be done about it. That lamb just couldn't make it. There was no way to save the lamb. The lamb has unfortunately died. But in order to save the life of another lamb, that's why you skin it. And to me, that seems like a very reasonable thing to do. It's not something that is done in order to torment any of the creatures involved. It's done in order to save the life of one of the creatures involved. And I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, I would love to hear your views on this. I know that I'm sort of touching on some controversial stuff today. Really know what else to say about it, really. But yeah, I would love to hear your views on it. Is there particular farming practices that you don't know about or that you've heard that are really bad, that you think shouldn't be allowed? By all means, discuss some of them, and hopefully, I'm sort of saying it today. I've got to time this just right, because if there are concerns that are brought up and are put into the comments section, I will do my absolute best to address them, and I will talk to you about your different things. So this episode, I'm actually recording it on Friday. It's tomorrow's episode, and once it does go live, I will have time to talk about any questions that you have within the first 24 hours of this video being published. So if there is anything you want to know about farming, I will do my best to address every single question that is asked, right? As per usual, keep it clean. I don't want any swearing. I have filters applied to all of the comment sections now. Many of you have probably found that out, because I do see occasionally a name turn up that ought to know better. I've got a list of all sorts of curses and swear words and so on, and those words are the comments are automatically filtered out, and I get just a flag up to say this comment's been filtered out because of bad language, because that is what I've put the list as. The list is bad language, and if you use bad language, your comment won't be visible publicly, and it will get deleted. So if you would like your comment to be seen, keep it clean. That's all I'm asking. I'm not asking anything else. If you've got concerns and there's things that you want to know about various farming practices, put it in the comment section. Let's have it out. Let's see what you want to say, and I will do my absolute best to address each and every concern that you, the viewers, bring up this time, because this is something that is quite important to me. That there are certain misconceptions that people do have about the farming industry, and a lot of farmers, because they've started to, in certain societies, become the bad guy, are very sensitive about it and don't want to address these things. So I'm here to completely and openly talk about it. And I'll tell you right now, there are farming practices that I disagree with, that I don't like. Here in the UK, we have excessive use of pesticides and herbicides. In the US and in Australia, I don't know about New Zealand actually, we're in New Zealand here, but the herbicides and pesticides are not used as extensively as they are here in the UK where I live, and I don't agree with that. I think that there shouldn't be anywhere near as much use of sprays as what we in the UK put on our fields of crops. I think it's wrong, the approach that a lot of farmers use, and just keep spraying and spraying and spraying. The sprayer never seems to stop on some arable enterprises, and then others are looking now towards a more organic approach, because we're starting to experience problems with various weeds and pests and so on that are becoming resistant to all these sprays because we've been using them so excessively. And now people are starting to look around for other methods, for things that they can do to try to improve the situation, which I think is fantastic. That's what we want. We want alternative solutions. You can't just turn around to the farmers and say, this is wrong, you can't do it. Because, well, what are they going to do? Just stop earning a living? Are they stop producing food? Because ultimately that is what farmers do. They produce food for everybody to eat. And quite frankly, I like my food. I don't want it to just disappear. So, yeah, we've got to look at alternatives. And that's what a lot of farmers these days are doing. We're getting these resistances building up for various weeds and so on. And so they're looking at other ways of doing it, which are actually a lot better for the environment, a lot better for everybody involved, because all this excessive use of sprays... Ooh, we've actually reached our maximum capacity. Well, I don't want to keep this in here. What I might do... Actually, well, we've run out of time now. I've been talking so much. I did actually intend to start turning the hay today, but we're not going to be able to do that. So we might just empty this out into the field. We'll run along fairly quickly and do it. And then we can... sort of turn that into hay once we're done. I think we can risk leaving this gate open just while we run in here and then run back again. Can we get round here, or am I going to need to go in and spin round and come back through? We can. We can just get through. Ideal. So if I go at a reasonable rate and then start tipping it out the back like that. There we go. It's a long line, but I think that's actually okay. There's enough there that we can get through with the turner. We should be okay. So yes, please, in the comment section today, I would like to address any concerns that any of you have about agricultural practices, what you think, what you like, what you don't like, any questions that you might have about how things are done, and we'll see if we can sort of address any concerns that people might have. If I don't know, I'm quite happy to tell you I don't know. I don't pretend to know everything, not by a long shot. And if I don't know, I will tell you, unfortunately, I don't know anything about that particular subject. You might want to go and ask someone else on that one. But I will do my best to answer every single question. I'm going to return this forage wagon now. So, yeah, I did originally intend to start doing hay and a few other bits and pieces, but in fact I actually ended up doing a lecture on animal husbandry and a few other things. So, yeah, I hope that you weren't too bored with today's episode. My weekly question for this week is I'm going to be buying a truck fairly soon. Well, I say fairly soon. I don't actually know when I'm going to be buying it because we've just spent all our money on sheep, so we'll see. But I will be getting it eventually. And it'll be the MAN TGS 18480, the standard in-game one, or the MAN TGS 184 series, which is a mod one. Lots of different options available on that one. The Lizard SX310 Twinstar, I think that's actually Tristar in the mod sections. I think this is a typo in here. That is very, very similar to that one down there. 420 horsepower, but this one's got a second axle on the back. I don't know if it's got any other options as well, I'm not quite sure. That is the only US-style engine out front truck available. I think it's also an Australian-style truck. I think they use these kinds in Australia, but New Zealand, I'm fairly sure you guys use this kind, the engine under the cab, although I'm not certain. So, people from New Zealand, just let me know if I've got that right. Do you use trucks like we do in Europe, or are you more familiar with this kind of truck? I'd actually quite like to know about that. But anyway, the final option is the Tatra Phoenix 6x6. This is not the agricultural version that is the standard in-game. This is a modded one. This is just a road-only version of the Tatra Phoenix, so it doesn't have all the extra bells and whistles that the agricultural one there has got. So it's your vote, it's your game. Head in the comment section down below, let us know which one you would like, and of course don't forget to actually cast your vote in the top right hand corner. So I'll head back up to the dealership and I'll return this one, and I will get the hay turner on the tractor and get it back up to the sheep ready for next week's episode. And like I said, if there is anything you want to know about farming, any concerns you've got, things you think are wrong, you'd like to just, clarify how it's done. I know a lot of you are farmers, so you're probably not going to have quite so many concerns as the people who are not farmers. This is mostly today about the people who are not farmers, who have been fed a long list of misinformation from the media, which seems to be rather biased against farmers. And this is something, it's a personal bugbear of mine. It's something that I'm not very happy about. And so, yes, I'm hoping to try it and allay some of those fears and concerns from various different people today. And, yeah, so I'll be interested to see what sort of questions you have and what views and opinions you'd like to express, and whether I can do anything to sort of allay any concerns, answer questions, that sort of thing. If you've enjoyed this episode, then please head down below and give us a like. And if you really enjoyed it, then please tell your friends all about me. Get them to watch as well. That would be awesome. I'll just stop this tractor right here, and I will go and return that forage wagon. And then I'm going to... the return point's actually that one, isn't it? And then I am going to head back up to the sheep so that we're ready to do the hay next time. So let's just go there. Have we got food yet in our sheep? Let's have a look. Well, we got the food in there. The food's in there. The water is now halfway because we've gotten all the rest. That's still saying 10%, so we're on 40 hours for the reproduction rate. But we've got 240 sheep. I thought we'd had 238. No, I got that wrong, didn't I? Oh, well, there we go. So we got 240 sheep. Tell you what, let me just speed up a little bit. Just speed up time. And I think you've got to go to 22. So we go to 1140. And then we go back down to 1 times. 100%. 4 hours. Nice. So every 4 hours we get another sheep. 4 hours, there's 6 sheep in... Yeah, 6 sheep in 24 hours. Which is pretty good going, really. And that'll obviously increase as we get more and more sheep. So I'm quite pleased with that. All we need to do now is to worry about cleanliness. But anyway, so yes, I have... That's what I would like to talk to you about in the comment section. I'll do my absolute best to answer any questions that you've got. That is everything we've got time for. So until next time, thank you very much for watching. This is Frithgar. Goodbye, and see you later.